What's up, everybody? It's Jamel Gibbs. Welcome to another video. Listen, in today's video, I'm going to share with you a deal. We're actually going to walk through this particular property. Just got this house under contract, and this is an owner financed deal. I've been talking a lot about creative investing a lot on my channel, as well as wholesaling. Seems like you guys want to hear more about the creative stuff and see what I'm actually doing. So today I wanted to share this particular deal with you. So we found this deal through cold calling. My acquisition specialist picked it up, and we got the contract signed. This house is worth about maybe $70,000 completely fixed up. We have it under contract at a deep discount, and basically what we negotiated with the seller was a $35,000 purchase price and $3,500 down, which is 10%, and then we're going to pay $525 a month for 6 years. So I'll own this house free and clear in, well, actually 5 years, not 6 years. This is my first time actually seeing this house, so I don't know what type of repairs it needs, but I'm not really concerned about that because I'm not actually gonna put the work into the house. If it does need too much work, what I'm gonna do is end up selling it as a rent to own on the other end, and we may have to negotiate the price down a little bit. So let's go ahead and see what this house is all about. So I'm just looking at this house here. You know, obviously it needs a lot of work. When I first pulled up to the house on the other side, the entire house needs new siding on the outside. Now let's walk around back. That's how we can get access to the property. So whenever you can get access to a property without the owner being there and without a key, that's a problem. Chances are that property is gonna need a lot of work, right? So that means anybody can get into the house because it's not locked up. So let's go inside and see what it's looking like, and if we have to negotiate the price down, I will. All right, let's move on. Another key sign that the property is going to need a lot of work: the windows are boarded up. Now that's not always the case. Sometimes people board up the houses because it's vacant and they just finish rehabbing it, but for the most part, you know, at the end of the day, if you see evidence that the property has a lot of junk around it and the windows are boarded up, the house is going to need a lot of work. All right, y'all, so look, this house, the back door is wide open. All right, we don't know what's in this house right now, so let's find out what's in it. And like I said, it's part of the business. All of this stuff is you know, it's gonna come right along with you making a lot of money in this business. But we'll find out what's in it, and then we'll take it from there. Let's go. This property had a fire. When we talked to the property owner, they didn't mention anything about it having a fire, which is part of the reason why I wanted to come out and actually see this property. And one thing I didn't mention is this property is right in my local area. It's in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, which is about 25-30 minutes from where I live. But you know, at the end of the day, you know, this is the type of properties that we look for. I'm definitely gonna negotiate this price down. Just walking into this property and seeing that the beams are charred by smoke damage and fire. So if you look at this, this seems to be where the kitchen used to be. Something happened in this house to cause this fire. The good thing is I'm looking at the beams, because obviously the fire department, they tore into the walls and stuff like that. Looking at the beams, all of the beams are not charred. It's only the ones up here. So this might have to be replaced. I'm not sure if I want to do that much work. There's smoke damage in that room over there. I'm not sure if I want to do all of this work, but I will do it if I can get the price down. So this might end up being a cash deal for me rather than a seller finance deal. My acquisition specialist, they negotiated a seller finance deal, but looking at this property and the condition that it's in, I'm probably going to end up offering cash for this. It'll be more beneficial for me to buy it cash rather than an owner finance type of deal. So this is going to quickly turn into a wholesale type of deal for me, just looking at the property. We're standing in the kitchen slash, I guess, living room area. And you can see that the entire ceilings were tore out. There's a lot of smoke damage. If you look at the property, there's a ton of smoke damage in this particular house. But it's not as bad as I thought. Well, back there is terrible. It's definitely going to need a new roof on this property because the fire went up. The fire actually went all over the place in his house. Me looking at this particular property, there's a lot of smoke damage on this end of the property. On the back side of the house, that's going to need to be tore down and rebuilt completely back there. The beams and everything inside this room, this could be gutted out. I don't even smell the smoke anymore in this room. But looking at everything, this can, if we gut this down to the beams, we could probably end up salvaging a lot of this particular property. But either way, it's going to need a lot of work. So I'm going to have to negotiate that price way down and end up paying cash for this house. Let's look at some of the other rooms, and then we'll call it a day on this particular property. Like I said, there's a lot of smoke damage. Up there is the attic. We really don't know what's in this house. It seems to be pretty empty right now. But if we look at the beams right here, you can see that those beams are not charred at all. And because they're not charred, at the end of the day, those can be salvaged. But there's other beams on the back end side of the house that is charged. We got to tear that whole thing off in order to be able to salvage that. In order to be able to make it livable. This room here, this can be gutted out down to the beams and ultimately restored in this room. Put a new window. I will put new windows in the entire house. I would basically gut this entire house down and start it all over again. So I'm going to I have a general idea of how much work the property needs. But if I decide to keep this property, because I'm going to pay cash for it, and it's probably going to be a significant discount, I'll probably end up dropping it from $35,000 down to like $5,000, looking at the condition of this particular house. If that's the case and they accept my offer, then what I'm going to end up doing is bringing a contractor in here and validating my numbers, and then I'll close out the transaction and then get started on the project. If this turns out to be a rehab project and a rental property that we're going to keep, I'll make sure I shoot videos about this particular property so that you guys can see the process on how that actually works. This is a perfect example of going from a creative deal back to a cash type of offer situation. This property needs too much work. I probably can find somebody who wants to live in this property and don't mind doing the work. I'm always going to go that route first, but for this type of money, as cheap as this property is, it might be more beneficial for me to keep it as a rental property long term. In this area, I can easily get about $1,000 a month for a property like this. This is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath property here in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And if that's the case, then I'm probably going to end up going that route. My second option on this property would be to sell it to a lease with sell it on a lease with an option to purchase and collect some money up front, collect some money every month, and then collect some money on the back end as well. And then my final option on this particular property would be to wholesale this type of deal. But I just wanted to show you guys around this property a little bit. That's what we have going on right now. I got another property to take a drive by, and we're gonna go do that right now. Look, we just pulled up to the other property that I had to take a look at today. We offered $15,000 for this house, and I pulled up to the house and it's not even a house. 2 for 2. 2 houses in Winston-Salem under contract, and both of the houses had fire damage. The sellers didn't mention any fire damage on the conversations with my acquisition specialist, and unfortunately I had to drop the price on the other one, and I'm also gonna drastically drop the price on this one. This is literally a shell. There's no walls, there's nothing in the house. It's not a house, it doesn't even have a roof. This is where virtual investing can become dangerous. So one thing that you could do in order to protect yourself when you're signing these agreements with motivated sellers, just to keep them honest, is to have some type of contingency for you to inspect the property before the closing. And I would extend that out as long as possible. So for example, if you have 30 days to close the transaction, first of all, I wouldn't give myself 30 calendar days. I would give myself 30 business days, because in essence, at that point, you really have 45 days to close the transaction. What I would also do is give yourself 21 business days to be able to go ahead and inspect the property. This way, yeah, I'm not saying that I can't sell this shell, but I'm not paying $15,000 for a shell. I will pay $500, maybe $1,000 for this. So I got to renegotiate that offer down. Good thing is I didn't sign this agreement yet. I signed the agreement on the other property, which was initially supposed to be owner financing. Basically right now the land is worth more than the actual house. So I would knock this whole thing. Now I'll probably offer him $1,000 for the land and call it a day. And then given the area, it would cost too much to build up another property in this area. So it's not even worth it at the end of the day, unless I could sell the land for maybe $5 grand, which I think I can actually do that. Make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell. I'll see you on the next one. Peace. All right, so look, I saw both houses and we got two problems. Both houses had fire damage. The second house, I wouldn't pay more than $500 for that thing. It's a shell. So that guy is joking with $15,000. He's out of his mind. Tell him that that house is a shell. I'll give him $1,000 tops. $1,000 is being generous. All right, offer him $1,000 and see what he says. Or he could just keep the house and figure out, you know, what he wants to continue to do with it. He's gonna keep paying taxes on it. He's gonna keep having headaches, code violations and things like that with that property. If he wants to get rid of it right now, I'll give him $1,000 for it.